Hello, everyone, and welcome to Project 13 on regional dialects. We chose to do Midwest. My classmate Luke A is doing speech samples / transcription and the topic slide. John N is doing clinical piece, cultural, theoretical, technological, and or linguistic considerations. And I, Nathalya S, is doing the title slide, evaluation and treatment piece, research findings, and summary. I hope you enjoy our project.
The topic that is being discussed is regional dialects, specifically the Midwest dialect. This is a dialect associated with the Midwestern region of the United States. However, the Midwest dialect can be considered a lumping together or conglomeration of multiple dialects. These include the General American English dialect, which is specifically spoken in the cities of Chicago, Detroit, Milwaukee, Cleveland, and Western and Central New York State. And these cities include Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse, etc. The next subdialect is Midland American English, which can be found in cities such as Columbus, Indianapolis, and Kansas City. Lastly, the subdialect of North Central American English can be found within the conglomeration of the Midwest dialect. This subdialect is found in Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, northern Iowa, and the Dakotas, specifically North Dakota and South Dakota. There is debate between the boundaries of the Midwest. There is a lack of Northern and Southern American English vowel shifts in the Midwest region and the Midwest dialect as well. There is a merging of the aw sound and the o sound. The oo sound is fronted in the conglomeration of Midwestern dialects. Its role in communication sciences and disorders, public health, and health science research is that the Midwest dialect is not a speech or language disorder, but rather a language or dialectal difference. Even though it is not a communication disorder, there may be some communication difficulties. It is a significant predictor of a smaller social network size, fewer positive social exchanges, less frequent participation in social activities, and higher levels of loneliness. However, dialectal differences are not a significant predictor of negative social exchanges. Communication disorders may place older adults at increased risk for mental health and physical health problems due to social isolation, reduced social participation, and higher rates of loneliness. While the Midwest dialect or dialects are not a communication disorder, dialectal differences can or may result in confusion and frustration among themselves and speakers of General American English. To provide clarification regarding the Midwest dialect or Midwest group of dialects, the United States Bureau of Labor Statistics has provided a map of the Midwest region of the United States. The states within this region include North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, Missouri, Kansas, Illinois, Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio. To provide further clarification regarding the Midwest dialect or the Midwest group of dialects, a map of the North American dialects from the book The Atlas of North American English, Phonetics, Phonology, and Sound Change has been provided in this slide. This map, as well as the previous map, indicate that there is a debate among linguists, dialectologists, phoneticians, and other professionals with experience in phonetics and linguistics. This slide provides a speech sample and set of transcriptions for the Midwest dialect or group of dialects. On the left, this speech sample has been selected for a phonetic example of the Midwest dialect that is humorous in nature, yet accurate. This video is titled Midwest Siri and was created by the Midwestern comedian Charlie Berens. On the right is a set of transcriptions. First, I will read them in the manner in which the phonetics are written out and transcribed. Siri, remind me to get a bag of bagels. Siri, find me some. Oh, cripe, Siri. Oh, hi, hon. How are your folks doing? Tell 'em I says hi, won't you? Now we're cooking with gas. Let me get an expert on the horn real quick. Oh, bull hockey. No, you didn't. That's a knee slapper. Oh, thanks, Cheryl. I really appreciate that. So now I will provide an explanation for some of the dialectal vocabulary. The words ope and cripes are exclamations that are unique to the Midwestern dialect of General American English. Also, the word folks is used rather than parents. The word says is used instead of the word said. Cooking with gas is an expression that is derived from the use of a propane tank that is used in grills that are used for cooking food. In the sentence, oh, bull hockey, no, you didn't, bull hockey is another exclamation towards another person when the speaker is frustrated with that person, similar to the phrase bull crap or similar phrases in general American English. That's a knee slapper is another Midwestern feature. It's an expression similar to the general American English sentence that's funny, that's hilarious, or similar sentences. In the sentence, oh, thanks, Cheryl, I appreciate that, even though this can be said in the general American English dialect, the word thanks is pronounced as tanks. And this is another phonetic feature that is unique to the Midwest dialect group.
Hi, my name is Nguyen, and I'll be introducing the clinical piece in the cultural and technological and linguistic portion of this presentation. As for the clinical piece, the Midwestern regional dialect can be confused for speech disorders or issues, and this is a major consideration when assessing individuals and students. Because the differences in speech kinematics, it can cause speakers of Midwestern dialects to emulate some aspects of speech disorders, so knowledge of the dialect is vital. Midwestern dialect speakers can exhibit smaller tongue blade and lower lip working spaces, more variable with articulator movement, and large number of tongue peaks, faster tongue movement, and greater interspeaker variability. By keeping a focus on the knowledge of these aspects, you can prevent false positives while also acknowledging what is a dialect and what is a potential source of a speech disorder. When it comes to schooling, individuals with Midwestern dialects face consistent issues with adjusting to academic English as it clashes with their familial dialect. In addition, school environments tend to involve stereotypes in which individuals with Midwestern dialects are perceived to be less intelligent and lower income. By being aware of the stereotypes, you can also understand in what ways that they may be adjusting their speech in order to fit a specific way that they've been taught. And as a result, it can affect how you assess and diagnose. In terms of the cultural, theoretical, technological, and/or linguistic considerations of assessment, a major consideration of treating individuals with a Midwestern dialect is, as said, the aforementioned cultural stereotypes. Due to the fact that they have this perception that they have a lower status, intelligence, or income, they're often alienated or they're treated different for their manner of speaking. For this reason, when you are treating individuals of this course, you need to be aware of the cultural aspects and the cultural implications that these individuals face. And you need your intervention and treatment program and treatment of the patients and caregivers to they need to be in respect towards these aspects. Because if effective intervention wants to be done regarding speech issues, you need a close and mutual trusting relationship with your client. In the technical aspects, the notable speech mechanical differences is important for potential assessment and care. Assessment should include multi-word utterance testing and observations of tongue and lip movement in order to differentiate from dialectical elements and elements of potential speech disorder. This can be achieved using sensor technology like electromagnetic articulography. And in addition, Midwest dialect speakers have linguistic differences in their speech, such as the consistent production of all their R sounds, even when not present, specific cultural terminology like pop for soda, and grammatical constructions like alls. These different aspects can modify how their speech is constructed and therefore should be considered when creating a treatment plan that may require certain exercise that clashes with these elements. By being aware of their linguistic differences, it's much easier to create a program that feels more relaxed, more natural to them, and also actually focuses on issues rather than on speech differences.
Hi, my name is Nathalya, and I did the evaluation and treatment piece. One of the evaluations that can distinguish a dialect, specifically in this case a Midwest dialect, one of the things could be pronunciation. Midwesterns pronounce words with the long O sound, and many other regions the long O is pronounced more of an O sound, but in the Midwest it is often pronounced like ow. For example, boat may sound like bout to a Midwestern. Another example of Midwest pronunciation dialect is how Midwesterners often drop the final G sound in words ending in ing. This is known as the G dropping phenomenon, common in many areas of Midwest. For example, instead of saying running, a Midwesterner might say runnin'. Midwest regional dialects can be measured in pronunciation in different ways. One way is through analyzing vowel sounds. Midwest natives pronounce sounds like bag and beg with the same vowel sound, while others will distinguish between the two. Other aspect of pronunciation is the use of certain consonant sounds like a flat A in words like dance or grass, which is common in Midwest dialects. Another way to measure the pronunciation of the Midwest is by studying intonation patterns. Midwesterners may have a distinguishable rise and fall in their speech that may differ from other regions. This intonation can be analyzed by looking at stress patterns and pitch variations in speech. Some dialects in the Midwest may emphasize certain syllables, in a word more than others. Another evaluation could be vocabulary and expressions. Another way to measure Midwest regional dialects is by using specific words or phrases that are distinctive to the area. For example, Midwesterners might use words like pop instead of soda or bubbler instead of water fountain. These unique vocabulary choices can help identify someone as being from the Midwest. The Midwest vocabulary dialect include unique expressions and sayings common in the region. For example, phrases like ope or oofda are common used in Midwest to express emotions like surprise or frustration. These expressions add to the Midwest dialect's uniqueness and help further differentiate it from other regional dialects. Other slang words and phrases of the Midwest are tough tomatoes instead of tough luck, hot dish instead of casserole, and you betcha instead of you're welcome. Continuing, another evaluation could be stress. One characteristic of the Midwest dialect is how stress is placed on certain words. Stress is the emphasis or accent on a specific syllable or word in a sentence, which affects the overall pronunciation and understanding of the message. For example, in Chicago, which is in the Midwest, speakers tend to place stress on the first syllable of the words rather than the last syllable, such as the word Chicago is pronounced as Chicago, emphasizing the first syllable. This unique stress pattern can be heard in a broad range of words by Chicagoans, making their dialect recognizable and distinct. Another example of stress is in Minnesota, another Midwest state. Speakers tend to emphasize the vowels in their words, giving their lingo a more sing-songy quality. For example, Minnesota is pronounced as Minnesota, with stress on the second and fourth syllables. This distinctive stress pattern can also be heard in words like bag, which would sound like bag by someone from Minnesota. Continuing with the evaluation, prosody conveys emotions, emphasis, and meaning in Midwest dialect. In the Midwest, the rhythm and melody of speech can be different from other regions. There may be a tendency to draw out vowels or using a rising notation at the end of sentences, giving speech a sing-song quality. These prosodic features can help listeners identify someone as being from the Midwest. Prosody in Midwest dialects can help convey politeness and friendliness in communication. For example, a higher pitch or a softer voice can convey a friendly attitude, while a sharper tone may display frustration. Prosody can also emphasize words or phrases, giving attention to important information in a conversation. Overall, understanding the prosody of Midwest dialects can improve communication and help people navigate social interactions in the region. Now, moving on to the treatment piece of the evaluation and treatment piece. Treatment, accents, and dialects can be someone's pride and identity. However, some people might want to neutralize their accent and dialect. So, speech therapy for accent modification in the Midwest is available for those seeking to improve their communication skills. The primary goal of accent modification therapy is to help people speak with a more neutral or standard American accent. Individuals can learn techniques and methods to enhance their pronunciation, intonation, and overall speech clarity by working with a speech therapist. One goal in speech therapy for accent modification in the Midwest is to help individuals improve their intelligibility and comprehension by working on speech sounds and patterns that may differ from the standard American accent. Improving intelligibility can help individuals feel more confident in their communication skills and improve their job prospects and academic success. Another goal in speech therapy for accent modification may be to help individuals increase their social and professional opportunities. In a professional setting, clear and effective communication is important for success, and accent modification therapy can help individuals communicate more clearly and confidently with clients, colleagues, and customers. Individuals can improve communication effectiveness by working on intonation, voice projection, and pacing. By learning techniques to modify their accent, those individuals can feel more in control of their speech, which allows them to speak more confidently in professional and social settings. So I also did the research findings, and one peer-reviewed research journal article I found was the variation in U fronting in the American Midwest. The Journal of Acoustical Society of America has a peer-reviewed research journal article called "The Variation in U Fronting in American Midwest," and it was published in July 18, 2019. The article addresses the previous research suggested that a greater degree of social indexing of gender, race, and regional background is produced in linguistic contexts that promote phonetic reduction. The goal of the current study was to explore the hypothesis through an analysis of the realization of a constant sound change in the American Midwest U fronting as a function of the four linguistic factors that contribute to phonetic reduction, which is lexical frequency, phonological, neighborhood density, discourse mentioned, and speaking style. The results showed minimum effects of the linguistic factors on the degree of the U fronting among talkers, with greater overall advancement in the U fronting change in process, suggesting that the process of the U fronting is nearly completion among some of the American Midwesterns. However, the results also revealed more U fronting in plain laboratory speech than in clear laboratory speech and low density words than in low frequency, high density words among talkers, with lower overall advancement in the U fronting change in process. The directions of these effects are consistent with the hypothesis that social indexing is greater in reduction promoting context. I found a total of 3 research peer-reviewed journal articles, and here are the other 2. the second one would be the language and literacy predictors of dialect density among school-aged African American children from 2 geographic regions. Ashwire of Language, Speech, and Hearing Services in Schools published this peer-reviewed article, and it was published in July 15th, 2020. This study aimed to investigate the relationships between oral language, literacy skills, age, and dialect density of African American children residing in 2 different geographic regions of the United States, East Coast, and of course, based on this project, the Midwest. Children were assessed using a combination of standardized test and narrative samples from wordless picture books. Age-related findings between geographic regions indicate that younger sample from the Midwest outscored the East Coast sample in reading comprehension and sentences complexity. As in previous studies, the current study found an inverse relationship between dialect density and several literacy measures. Notably, the geographic region emerged as a strong predictor of dialect density. And now here on the right, we have the third and last peer-reviewed article I found was the regional dialect perception across the lifespan, identification and discrimination. Sage Journals of Language and Speech Services published a peer-reviewed article by all of these people, and it was published in 2017, and their study explored listeners' understanding of the indexical importance of American English regional dialect across lifespan. Listeners between 4 and 79 years old in the Midwestern United States heard talkers from the Midland, Northern, Southern, and New England regions in 2 regional dialect perception task, identification, and discrimination. The results show that listeners as young as 4 and 5 years old understand the identity marking significance of some regional dialects, although adult-like performance was not achieved until adolescence. Further, the findings suggest that the regional dialect perception is simultaneously impacted by the specific dialects involved and the cognitive difficulty of the task. Now, to tie everything in together, here is the summary. The Midwest dialect is a distinctive speech style generally found in the central region of the United States of America. Regions such as Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, Illinois, and Wisconsin are known for having a unique way of speaking that differs from other areas. One of the key characteristics of the Midwest dialect is the pronunciation of certain words. For example, Midwesterners pronounce the long O sound as a diphthong, comprising 2 distinctive vowel sounds that can be heard in words like boat or go. Midwesterners emphasize the first syllable of a word rather than the second or third, as is common in other dialects as well, which can occasionally lead to differences in how words are pronounced or understood. For example, insurance may be stressed on the first syllable in the Midwest dialect. Another characteristic of the Midwest dialect is the use of certain expressions or phrases unique to the region. Midwesterners may use the words like open or oofda as a expression that shows surprise or frustration, which may not be commonly heard in other parts of the country. In a clinical study, Midwestern dialect speakers show smaller tongue blades and lower lip working spaces, more variable with articulator movement, many tongue peaks, faster tongue movement, and more significant internal speaker variability. In a school setting, the Midwest dialect may have negative stereotypes solely based on their dialect, such as being seen as less intelligible or intelligent or having a lower income. By recognizing and valuing the Midwest dialect in the classroom, teachers can help students feel more comfortable expressing themselves and engaging in learning. Multi-word utterance test and tongue and lip movement observations to differentiate from dialectal elements and elements of a speech disorder using sensor technology like the electromagnetic oscillography. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed our presentation from Project 13, and at the end is the references. Thank you.